new backdrop is done. Can I just say I'm really thankful that so many of you really liked this new sort of setup for my videos. I couldn't be happier with how it looks, and it's so easy for me to just go boop and then make a video like from here. Like in the office I can only actually film twice a week because it's a shared space with my parents. It's actually their exercise room, and my dad's really popular on the website SingSnap. No, I will not link him. Being able to just film from my bedroom when I need to is a huge help. I won't be doing history videos from here because I really do prefer my higher quality stuff that's in the office downstairs, and the same goes for Les Hin videos. Anything that just kind of needs to be slightly higher quality will be in the office. The things that like this will be from here. I guess this is just going to be a update on where I'm at with comics, sort of a word vomity kind of video. I want to do these once a month because so many of you in the comments of the previous one said that you were feeling the same way, or you had felt the same way, or you were worried that you were getting to that point. So I feel like if I can help one of you prevent burnout by sort of sharing my experience, it will be sort of rewarding for me. I know that sounds kind of cheesy if I can just help one, but it is rewarding for me. I like helping people. Like, you know, I'm a witch, I'm a healer, I'm a guide, so it's important for me to do that in my everyday life. I guess I just want to start this off by talking about something that I've never actually spoken about on this channel, weirdly enough, which is why I started YouTube and how I've gotten to the point where I'm at with comics now in comparison to last month. So I'm going to start with why I started YouTube. So I've actually been on YouTube longer than most people. I was around in 2006 or 2007. I think it was 2006. And I used to be a big fan of this YouTube channel called Yow. And this guy had a series called Fugly Betty. He was popular on MySpace, kind of. I followed him on MySpace. I don't actually remember how popular he was, but I started following him on YouTube. I thought his videos were hilarious. Eventually he deleted that channel and created a new one, and that channel was Shane Dawson TV. And I'm sure you've heard of Shane Dawson. Not many people have heard of Yow. I would love to meet Shane Dawson and be like, I know about those videos, but I don't know if that will ever happen as much as I would like it to happen. And then 2013 came around, and I was really into Game of Thrones at that time, like more so than I am now. At the moment I'm just kind of like frustrated with Game of Thrones, but I was reading the books, I've caught up on all the books now, and I just kind of like, I wanted more, so I was looking for YouTube channels that dealt with Game of Thrones stuff, and I found Comic Book Girl 19, and I watched her documentaries on Game of Thrones, the few that she had back then. I think she's done a few more since then, and I really enjoyed them, and I was like, why is no one doing this with comic books? Comic books are so huge at the moment, why is no one doing this? And at the time, I was unemployed, I was in a toxic relationship, and I had no creative outlet. I was just like, well, you know what, if no one else is doing it, and I've got all of this free time because I'm unemployed, let's just do it. Let's just start YouTube. And it just kind of went from there. And to this day, you can see Comic Book Girl 19's influence all over my channel. And I will be the first to admit, on a few of my videos, that influence has gotten a little bit too much. And I kind of, at times, think about taking down a few videos. Because I feel like I crossed the line with my influence from her. I want to be in the same place as her so I can apologize to her, because I've just got like this feeling that she knows about it, and I don't know, for me to be so influenced by her and to have so much respect for her, and then to do that's shitty. That is so shitty. The one video I would like to make with her, it's like a dream video. If I could ever make a video with her, it would actually be about Revolutionary Girl Utena, and actually how it's about reincarnation and becoming the best version of yourself that you can be. And as I continued on YouTube, I started doing my history videos. They got better and better, and then I started recapping comics that were coming out every month. And this is where I think my biggest issue was. Before I started YouTube, I was quite selective about the comics that I read every month. Like, I read about, I don't know, 1 or 2 every week, because I've always been a person that enjoys reading an entire arc. My introduction to comics was because I have a half-brother that's 20 years older than me that owned a bunch of comics, and then he just didn't want them anymore, so I was about 2 and I just claimed them all for myself. And there were comics from the 60s, 70s, 80s and early 90s in there. And I just like claimed them all for myself. They were my comics after that. And I devoured storyline after storyline after storyline. And that's kind of like why I love the Titans, because the Teen Titans, the 1960s one, was like one of the first ever runs I remember completing. I was very young when I read most of these. I was an autistic child that taught themselves how to read. Autism. Then I think in 2015 I started doing my Origins videos, and I never really wanted to do Origins videos because people put so much emphasis on this is where the character comes from, this is how they got their powers, this is how they started, and I think there's so much focus on that when in actual fact that's not really what defines most comic characters. Like, it's a major part for some of them, particularly like Spider-Man. Spider-Man's origin, very important. Do we need to be seeing it every 10 minutes? Fuck no. Like, so many people have covered that. I don't need to cover Spider-Man's fucking origin. But for most characters, it's just like a blip in their history, and there's other things that define them. Like, I would say Dazzler's relationship with Angel defines her way more than the fact that her powers awakened when she was performing in school. In fact, if it were to define her, she would be completely put off of performing with her powers, but in reality, she uses her powers as a tool as she is performing. So I feel like doing those origin videos was the start of me falling out of love with comics, because it was my first mistake. I started making content that I didn't really like. And then I was also making those weekly comic recaps on series that I was reading once a month. And I don't like doing that. Fundamentally, I do not like doing that. What I like doing with comics, and what I've always enjoyed doing, is seeing how a comic can change people's consciousness, seeing how comics can affect people's cognition in the world and how they interact with one another, because that is a form of magic. That is a form of magic that witches will use. Sometimes we will just do something to affect someone's mental state and help them along their way. So where am I at with comics now? Well, I started reading some comics that I really enjoy, particularly Young Avengers, because I am Wiccan. To this day, I am Wiccan, and if they don't use me in the cinematic adaptation of the Young Avengers, we're going to have problems, because I'm the only person in the world that can play Wiccan. And I really enjoyed it, and something I noticed that I had forgotten that I loved about comics is costume designs. I love costume designs, and I very rarely see superhero costumes or superhero cosplays done in a way that I like. And it's because I love those costumes so much, and I focus on aesthetics, and I'm always sat there like, oh, would this costume be more PVC looking, or would it be more latex looking? That's more PVC, because you can see top stitching. This one, you don't really see any seams, so that's latex. So I sit there doing that for hours, and I hadn't done that in years, and as I was doing this wall of comics, it took ages, because I did that for nearly every single page. Like, for example, 90s Superboy, I stand by, his costume would be latex, whereas New 52 Robin, I stand by, his costume would be a 4-way stretch PVC for the black parts and a 2-way stretch PVC for the red parts. And then his armor bits would be out of polyurethane rubber. And if you're wondering, the vast majority of superhero masks, I would say, are liquid latex molded to the actual person's face, which is why they can move with a person's emotions. I'm actually making quite a few of those for myself for upcoming cosplay projects. So overall, where I'm at with comics is I can enjoy reading them again because I'm finding why I enjoyed them originally. And while this might be a slow process, I think this is the right way to go. Like, find what originally got me into them and then go from there. As opposed to trying to just go backwards, I'm just sort of like going sideways.